Okay, my name is Gibson Maina. I'm an activist and community organizer. We have all heard about William Ruto. I've been an activist, been an organizer for decades. He even rose to be the first Chief Justice under the new constitution. Uh, Today we are privileged to have you today.
Thank you.
To talk to you around your activism, the judiciary, and also lately the issue to do with Miguna Miguna.
Yes.
So welcome, comrade.
Yeah. Thank you, comrade, for inviting me.
And this is not the first time that we are working together. I've had the opportunity to work with you before.
Yes, I remember that.
And I am grateful for your continued support.
Sure.
So to start us off, just to lay the foundation, I would like us to talk about, for you to share with us your understanding or your knowledge around dictatorship, the history of Kenya with dictatorship. Yes.
Yeah, well, basically that term is used when you have a system that is under a people, in many ways. A dictatorship will not allow people to have their rights. A dictatorship will not be accountable and transparent. That's why dictatorships are associated with corruption, with murders, disappearances, the siphoning of funds from the country. And they are connected also, dictatorships are also connected to foreign interests. When Kenyans say that the British never left, that's exactly what they mean. That is, they will still have colonial structures. The colonial system itself was very, very dictatorial, completely. And one way of identifying dictatorship, in my view, is clearly to look at the constitution, because the constitution itself is a legal or political and ideological document that deals with dictatorship. Okay, and it basically says what is to be done. Okay, if it's a presidency, you know what has happened. Presidential power has been decentralized and democratized through various provisions of constitution, independent institutions, a Bill of Rights. Devolution itself is a great idea in terms of sharing political power. Dictatorships also control resources, and they basically are not accountable. Okay, in our case, Parliament and the executive believe that they own our resources and they can plunder the resources. They can even starve institutions of resources. They don't give the counties what is due to them. All these are examples of dictatorships. And when you talk about democracy, and the Constitution also talks about democracy, the way we should organize politics, the whole issue of electoral justice, so that elections are peaceful, free, fair, acceptable, and verifiable, and credible. All those aspects, when you look at the Constitution itself, it's a vision of moving from the vicious dictatorships that we have had, the colonial one, the post-colonial ones, and they have a history, of authoritarianism, a history of thefts, corruption, murders, assassinations. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's it's a better way of explaining it rather than giving you a definition. Yeah.
I totally understand. I wanted you to talk about dictatorship because increasingly Kenyans feel like they are living under dictatorship.
Yes.
And it's important that you provide those kind of checks.
Yes.
That you can look and do a reference
Yes.
of what's happening today and what has been happening in this country
Yeah.
for all these years.
And I think we should all understand that the implementation of the constitution is a struggle against a dictatorship
Yeah.
or dictatorship. At the moment, even the dictatorship we are talking about is a dictatorship of a curious kind, where the government, which is a Jubilee government and happens to have two factions. One faction joins the opposition, or there is a handshake.
There's some agreement.
Yes, and that the other faction becomes the opposition. It's a recipe for disaster, because you see, when you look at why people's oppositions are important, it's because of checks and balances, against the dictatorships. Now what we have done is that the opposition leaders quit the opposition space, has joined one faction, not the entire faction, and we have that dictatorship. And what this means is that our peace and security is in danger. There's nobody to check on dictatorship except us now,
as citizens.
And that's why you see that the formations in the civil society, whether it's the human rights organizations, civil society organizations, whether it's the religious ones, the unions are for purposes dead. So we have to rely on the workers themselves directly. And that's what the Constitution gives us. When you look at the Constitution, it reflects the supremacy of the people and the centrality and sovereignty, of their power. So it's in a way, again, the Constitution gives us a trajectory, even when the opposition and the ruling parties emerge to form a more brutal dictatorship, than before. Yeah.
It's interesting that you speak about the implementation of the constitution as a struggle.